to another episode of Songs from the Attic. Today, I'm with my good friend Ian.
Hello.
And we're going to be talking about XTC, as in the t-shirt. And today we're going to be looking at the top 10 songs from XTC, which in itself has been a serious challenge. Narrowing it down from about 50 or 60 is just unbelievable. How have you found it, Ian?
Absolute nightmare. And I feel dirty, and I'm ashamed of myself. I had to toss aside so much good material. I feel ask us in a month's time, and it'll be completely different list probably. Yeah. There's just so much to choose from. And so many different styles.
So one of the songs that I've left out because I put the odd one on because there's lots of different style that sort of fits in.
That's what I try to do. I try to get it like a broad brush kind of, and I limited myself to a maximum of 2 songs per album.
Yeah.
So there's songs that I really want in there that I've not got in.
Yeah, there's some absolute killers which I'll mention as we go along, which I'm thinking, how's that not made it? How's that not made it?
I'm thinking, right, I'll leave that out because you put it in, so you better put it in.
Well, we'll see. So, Ian, how did you first sort of get into XTC or hear of XTC?
Well, it was pre-teen, and I had one band that I loved, and nobody else knew who they were, and I thought that was the Ramones. And you kind of get moved for people wearing Ramones t-shirts now, like, and I thought, well, where were you when I was a kid? Because like it was always who. So I thought, right, I need a second band, a backup band. But unfortunately, I chose XTC, and nobody really knew them either. But I think this Making Plans for Nigel, I remember on Top of the Pops, and I liked that. I didn't love it at the time, I do now. But it was something completely different. It had a different sound to it. It was, in the time of like new wave, and I was at the kind of the back end of punk. So I was into the Ramones, but I was kind of playing catch up with the rest of the punk bands. And I got to really like Sergeant Rock and Generals and Majors off the Black Sea album. But at the time I was quite, I didn't have much cash, so I got the singles and got into them like that, and then retrospectively started listening to the kind of back catalogues of all the albums. Yeah, so I remember I did meet another guy who liked XTC. The only person I could find in the school at the time, and would arrange to go to a concert, like the Black Sea tour. And then he broke it to us after I was getting excited that, they're not going to tour anymore. Andy Porter's just kind of got stage fright and he doesn't want to tour anymore. So that was the end of that. I never got to see them live.
Yeah, they just didn't tour. I did after 82, I think it was.
And really, I just started. I think the first album I got into was the Black Sea, which was, it's a brilliant album. It's got so many great songs on it.
We'll not give it too much away because we'll be doing the album one, remember?
No. And I think that they're one of the most underrated bands in terms of songwriting talent and just sheer. They've got their own identity. They're both Partridge and Colin Walden are both excellent songwriters. Partridge, he's
the dominant one. Yeah,
he's the dominant one. But I like them both, and I just like the fact that they always changed. They never stayed the same.
No,
and it's a massive difference from the first album to the last album.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just like a different band.
They'd be in my top 20 artists ever, without a shadow of a doubt. And I've said it on other episodes where they often remind me, they fit that linear of bands of the Kinks and, like Madness and all that sort of thing. They're within that sort of English school of writing. They should be massive. I can't comprehend why they're not. I was listening to the drummer at Talking Heads the other day, and in his book, and he was raving about touring with XTC and seeing how great they were and how funny
Really?
Andy Partridge was to tour with. Yeah, just saying that they
He's
should.
mad.
And in many respects, XTC are almost like the English Talking Heads. They've got that weird angular thing going on, but they didn't just stick to one style. They moved and diversified, and they are very much on that sort of scale, but like an English-British sort of British version. But of course, when we look at the styles, they cover all the styles, and their heroes, if you like, are worn very clearly. You know, the likes of the Beatles and Birds and, you know, all the British pop bands as well, the Kinks and all that. It's very, very clear that they're massively into all of those sort of great pop bands, I would describe them as. So,
I think if you meet somebody who's an XTC fan, yeah, you'll be mates for life, like, you know what I mean?
Right, let's get down to the nitty gritty. We're going to start and do the impossible task of whittling it down. So what have you got in at number 10?
Right. Well, I'm a big fan of a lot of their climactic album songs. So the first song I've gone for is off Drums and Wires, which is Complicated Game. I've gone for this rather than Making Plans for Nigel, but I could have been any of the two, but it's pretty epic in comparison with the rest of the album, because a lot of the album is quite light and humorous and that. But Complicated Game, to me, it's something a bit different. It kind of only XTC produce, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
It starts off all like whispery, and it's kind of all about choosing this over that, going left against going right, and it starts off with pressing this button or that button, and then the little girl asks, should I part my hair on the left or should I part it on the right? And the answer to everything is it doesn't matter, because someone else will come along and change it, and it goes right through to what who you vote for, or even a line where God asks, which side should I put the world on the left, on the right? Starts off whispery, but ends up screaming at the end of it, and it's got quite a distressing sound to it. But it's totally like XTC, and to me, it sums them up, you know. It's not your favorite album, that one, is it?
No.
But I love it. Like, I think it's because you can hear the influence of that album maybe more than any from bands like Blur and Franz Ferdinand.
Yeah, very much. It's definitely got that angular, jaunty guitar sound.
Yeah, and all of these bands who kind of take that style, I like those bands as well, you know.
Well,
so, yeah, that was my number 10.
Well, my number 10 is Are You Receiving Me? I just love it. It's just great. It's fun. It's sort of...
Is that a Colin Morton song?
No, it's an Andy Partridge tune. It's obviously late 70s. It's just passionate. It's funny. I mean, the lyrics, when we're in kissing, your lips are missing, or they out on loan to someone else. I just think that's great. Really funny. It's Costello-esque in its biting sort of language. I love the sheer energy of it. The early days, they were a fast energy band. They had something obviously more to them than that, but they had something really about them, and I just love it. I think it's a really great tune. It's got an awful lot going for it. It's superb. Every time I play it, you're like bouncing around the room. There's just something about it.
Yeah.
Or you
I like the way he plays with the way he sings. He does it in a jovial.
He does the no thing, you know, which didn't work at all, but it's just dead catchy. So yeah, that's my number 10. That's my number 10. Short but sweet. But Are You Receiving Me? Fantastic. What have you got in it?
What's your opinion of Complicated Game, just for the record?
It's a great tune. I think it's a really good song. I think it's a good album. I'm not going to talk about the album too much. But Complicated
Nah.
Games is a really good song. Yeah. So Ian, what's your number 9?
Number 9. This is from an album that I was never that keen on originally. I've grown to kind of like it a lot more, but the title is probably the most bizarre title of any XTC song. I could be wrong, like, but it's Seagulls Screaming Kiss Her, Kiss Her. It's typically, again, Andy Partridge kind of painting a picture of a rainy, miserable seaside day when he's sitting there next to a girl on a bench with a bag of chips, and he's trying to pluck up the courage to go over and kiss her, you know, to woo her, and he's feeling the pressure, he's plucking up courage, and then he's like looking around and everything's mocking him and saying, "Come on and kiss her." Like this, the tide coming in, the sea's giving him that, and the seagulls are like, you know, overhead, and they're all mocking him. I just think it's kind of like it's got a dreary feel to it. You can picture yourself in the place. It reminds me of like a Madness Grey Day.
Yeah, yes, song. It does.
You know, lots of bangs and crashes. The whole album's a bit less subtle than a lot of their other. It's quite industrial sounding, and that's what he wanted at the time. It's a song I've come to enjoy, but I didn't think much of it first. But like now, I love it. You know,
it's one of them I might have to go back and sort of listen to in a bit more depth again, then, because it's not on my list and it's not on my missus either.
I think I went back after I read the book, The Complicated Game, and read his description of it, and I was laughing and thought, oh, I've got to listen to this tune a lot more, you know.
Right, okay then. That's interesting. That's a real curveball. That my number 9 is "Love on a Farm Boy's Wages" from Mama. It's a great song. 1982 was when they wrote it. All the album came out in 83. It's got that folksy sort of feel to it. Weird sort of drum beat thing going on because Terry Chambers had left at that point. It's a song that I think the lyrics are very, very simple, very pastoral. You know, it's taking you back to a bygone age. It's a song that Richard Thompson would have been proud to have written. It's definitely got that sort of feel. Very simple lyrics.
Brilliant guitar.
Yeah, brilliant guitar, actually, and not a simple guitar thing to play at all. But just a beautiful feel, and it's all about the feel. XTC are often about the feel, and when you cook some of my other songs soon, you'll see they're feel-based songs. And it's all about the feel, and it's just got a lovely groove and very different. So
you feel like you're on the farm when you listen to that.
Yeah, it's definitely got that. Having gone from, you know, as you see, you mentioned Nigel earlier on, and all that sort of tone and all that angular guitar, all of a sudden they pull out this sort of odd pastoral sort of tune, and it's brilliant. It's a top draw song. What have you got in at number 8 then?
Right, now this is a complete. If I was to ask you, what's the weirdest, most distressing, depressing, dystopian XTC song you can think of, what do you think that would be? Would anything come to mind, like, or not?
No, because there's quite a few of them.
Right, yeah. So I'm going for the closing song of the Black Sea, which is "Travels in Nylon."
Right. Wow. Yeah, I wasn't expecting
it's crazy. That. It's absolutely crazy. And again, I from reading the book, like it was, he was trying to create something dystopian. It was, I think this is Andy Partridge. He'd become disillusioned with the whole. He really got into punk music, and he thought, "Oh, great, anyone can play this. Anyone can wear what they want." But then after a while, he started seeing like, "Oh, but you've got to buy this item from this you know, like the sex shop in Chelsea, and all the prices were high, and it was just all you became a consumer again, apart from what it was supposed to.
I think it was when the Daily Mirror had how to not dress like a Daily Mirror or the Sun, how to dress like a punk. That was the end of it, really, wasn't it? You wear this and you wear that. It's rubbish.
The title's based upon a book he read in a 70s book about some communist dictatorship, a bit like 1984, where they keep you never see the president, but they keep showing photographs of him, and everybody's just lapping it up.
Yeah.
And every time it's a photo of someone else, and then it's a photograph of the gorilla, but nobody says anything. They're just like, "Oh, there's the president." And he said the whole song's about. It starts off like there's a whisper in the background, and that's to kind of signify this nagging doubt in your head that I'm being had here, I'm being had, which gets louder and louder as the song goes on. And he's kind of realized that, like, commercialism, religion, fashion, he's being had on all levels, and they're telling him that this is what is important. You've got to buy this, you've got to do this, you've got to worship this. But the whole song, it's got like a compressed, it's very compressed and like a tribal kind of circular. But it's just, again, it's totally XTC, and I just don't know anybody else who could, you know, who written anything like that. It pains us to say, but I mean, there was so many songs from that album, but I chose this one just because it's so.
Well, I love the bonus tracks on it as well, like Somnambulist or whatever they call it. It's just brilliant. About sleep patterns and that, but we'll come to that. We'll come to that when we do it. That's great. That's an unusual. Honestly, you've gone proper curveball. I wasn't expecting any of that. Well, my number 8 is basically Neon Shuffle. It's just brilliant. A daft song with a daft title, with the craziest bit in the middle where it stops and then it bounces back in again with those crazy keyboards as well. It's Barry Andrews.
Barry Andrews.
Yeah, it was an odd keyboard player to say the least. Great at times. The first album's superb, and he's really, really good on it. The sound is just mental. Nobody else sounds like that song. It's got that, again, going back to the energy. It's just a daft song about doing a daft dance, a bit like Elvis Costello's Mystery Dance. You know, let's do this weird dance. Obviously, it's got slightly different connotations, but it's superb. It's powerful. It's funny. It's fast. It's energetic, and it's just great.
The ironic thing is that he wrote that. It's a song about a dance called the Neon Shuffle, but he said they made sure that you couldn't dance to the song because it's so angular and the beat changes all the time. Yeah, and then there's that gap in the middle.
The gap is just nuts.
You know, he said that when they were playing it live, the gap would become longer and longer and longer till he said he wanted to piss the audience off and make them annoyed. Because he says at least if they're annoyed, they're paying attention.
Oh, absolutely brilliant. Right, Ian.
Yeah.
What have you got in at number 7?
Right. This one's from like one of my favorite albums, you know, if not the favorite album, but that's another thing. It's No Thugs in Our House.
I'm pleased you put that in because I had it and I thought, no, I'll cross it off my list.
All right, I probably know what you've put in its place, like, you know. But I mean, the album's superb. It's a real masterpiece. The lyrics to this one are brilliant. It's all about like parents turning a blind eye to what their thuggy son's getting up to. Basically, chinning people, like, you know, racist attacks and all.
It's got real fascistic tones to it, doesn't it?
But like some of the lines in it, I wrote some of them down because I think that he's a brilliant wordsmith. The boys in blue are beating out a headache on the kitchen door, and then spoil their breakfast with stories of Asians being badly kicked. And then all the while, Graham slept on, dreaming of a world where he could do just what he wanted to.
It's no thugs in our house.
Really catchy, and it's got a great rhythm, and the lyrics are absolutely brilliant.
They are really funny, aren't they?
Yeah. And it starts off with like he's like an angry cry, doesn't it? He's just shouting like it's that's my number 7 anyway.
Yeah, it's a super song. It was on my list, as was Jason and the Argonauts, which I didn't put in either. So in at number 7, I've gone sort of all pop and gone quite predictable, really, because I've got Making Plans for Nigel in at number 7.
I'm pleased you got that one in.
Yeah, just because it's a great song. Colin Moulding, again, when you first hear XTC, the first time I heard them, I thought he was the singer. And of course, turned out he wasn't. He was one of them, but not the main one. And Moulding's a really tuneful songsmith.
Yeah.
What people forget about, listen to the background music. Terry Chambers' drums are brilliant on it.
Brilliant. Yeah.
You know, it's got that really sort of unusual sort of offbeat going on. And then you've got Dave Gregory and Andy Partridge's guitars going on with that odd sound, and Andy Partridge doing the weird backing vocals, which
you know the drums, the hi-hat.
Yeah.
I think it's almost like a reverse kind of sound.
Yeah, it sounds like it's being phased. It sounds like it's being phased in the studio, so they've got a real unusual sort of tone to it. But as you know, as you said before as well, in some respects, it's one of the songs that sets the early template for all of those other bands that would follow.
Yeah.
With that guitar sound and that angular indie sort of tone. It's just a great pop song. It is a great pop song. So that's my number 7. What have you got in at number 6, Ian?
Number 6, I've gone for Neon Shuffle for the same reason. For the same reason as you. I've just got some notes here at the top. I said, "Mad, mad, mad." We've talked about this one. I've also one of the best uses of the phrase "boo boo."
Yeah, it is. It's perfect.
That and Statue of Liberty and what's that disco sound that my feet don't touch the ground? Boo,
boo. Kelly Marie.
Kelly Marie, aye.
Yeah, feels like I'm in love. written by Mungo Jerry, bizarrely.
And then he sticks the word bamboo in at the end a lot because he likes it. And he says it was based on a bamboo injury he had.
Is that right? Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah.
That's cool. Right, well, my number 6 is Dictionary, or Dictionary, depending on which way you pronounce it, which is a great bitter divorce song. I mean, H-A-T-E, is that how you spell love in your dictionary? So yeah, it's off the second last album, Apple Venus, which we'll come to in terms of whether we think it's great or not. But the song itself is a fabulous song. It's such a bitter divorce or breakup song. The lyrics are funny, but really dark and actually really sad. There's that real sad sense of melancholy to it as well. And as well as the bitterness and the humor to it, there's that real pang of pain that you hear in his song, you know, and it works beautifully. It's a really well-crafted song, It's one of those that I played recently. I just couldn't stop humming it. I thought, wow, what a really simple but great tune. And that's always a sign of a great song, the fact that it can be simple, yet just really, really melodic. What are your thoughts regarding it?
Well, he kind of, as you say, he lays himself wide open. It kind of reminds me of Eagles.
Yeah.
You almost get to know too much
Yeah.
through the songs that don't hold anything back. I love it. I was hoping you would put it on, like, to be honest, but it was like one of loads off that album that I wanted to include, but I didn't. Like, but yeah, it's absolutely superb.
Yeah, it's a top draw song. It is. It's just top draw. Okay, Ian, we're up to the top 5 now. Then, so what have you got in at number 5?
Right. This one's a lot. You know, there's less explanation about this apart from I just love this song. It's really catchy, very kind of Paul McCartney-esque. You know, it goes up and down. There's lots of depth to it, and it's off Apple Venus. It's I'd Like That.
All right. Yes. Okay.
I love the song. There's nothing, you know, nothing more than I absolutely love the song. It's really a favorite, and I love playing it. It's a real up sort of song, and the lyrics are really spot on. You know, by that time, these lyrics were just fantastic. You know, compared to what they used to be when they started out to right towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
Great acoustic guitar. Fairground organ in the middle, and then it ends with like a Spanish flamenco kind of clapping at the end. It's just a great song.
Yeah, it's top. This is a top tune. Really like it. Really like it. That was one of my possibles, along with a number of others. My number 5 is Respectable Street, which is sort of XTC. Partridge at his best in terms of like Kinks style writing. You know, he's writing about suburban England, you know, all the classic curtain twitchers of the time. It's really harsh lyrics as well. Now they're talking about abortion in cosmopolitan proportions and all of those sort of lyrics.
Of course, they changed those for, I don't know if it's for the single or for like broadcast over the radio, but they removed all their abortion and their sex positions and stuff like that out of it.
Yeah, I think that's probably the reason why. You know, it's the sort of thing that I would have written that, I suspect, at the time, or could have easily have written, you know, and as I say, hark back to the Ray Davies sort of Dead End Street type of lyrics. Just brilliant, really catchy, really fast, really joyful sounding. Really, it's depicting this real sort of, you know, as I say, the curtain twitches of what's going on in society. Well, let's talk about somebody down the street, all of that sort of thing, you know, that sort of British way of life. Just a marvelous song.
The great opener for the album.
It is, yeah, because it's got that little crackle on at the beginning, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, like a bad radio.
Tick, and then it belts in. Just top tune. So yeah, Respectable Street and is number 5 for me. Top song. What have you got in at number 4, Ian?
Number 4 was going back to when I was buying the singles. I was desperate for a single to come out just so I could see them on Top of the Pops or something, because just never saw them, you know. And that was the next single I've got was Senses Working Overtime from English Settlement.
Yeah.
Interesting. I was reading about how he constructed the song, and I think it's basically 2 completely different songs thrown together. It starts off like in a minor key, and it's all kind of downtrodden, subservient, hard life, and then the chorus just kicks in, and then the song just flips into like a major.
Yes.
And he said to get he couldn't quite get the chorus, but he was like, right, I want something really catchy. So he said, what songs do I love? Right, I love 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 by Manfred Mann. So he says, right, well, I'll reverse that. I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But like what can I have that's 5? And he's like, oh, senses, right? And that's when he got the chorus from that, and it kind of it's a complete contrast to the verses, but it's again it's got that like rural kind of countryside feel to it, which blends in with the whole album of that it's taken from, and it's in a way it's a little bit like you know, the Nina Simone song "Ain't Got No," when it's all like, I haven't got this, I've got that.
All right, yes,
it's all
which
like
is a great song.
Down, but then the chorus kicks in. But I've got my smile, I've got this, I've got my, and it's that kind of song. But I love when I hear the intro. I just like, you know, the hairs on the back of my neck.
That little soft guitar, little
yeah. Going back to the album, I didn't have the album till years and years later. Just didn't have the cash for buying a load of albums. But even though I hadn't heard the album, I traced what you're wearing there now on pencil and onto a jacket of mine, and then I filled it in with pen, like, you know, and just for that I couldn't. Or, you know, all the heavy metal mates had like embroidered things. I was just like marker pen or something like that.
Much more punk DIY though, isn't it, when you think about it?
And it was a crap hand-me-down jacket. It was terrible.
Was it your savings?
No, it wasn't even his. It was a friend's, like, you know. I pimped it up, like.
Right. My number 4 is Dear God.
Oh, I knew you'd have that one in there.
Which is just a great song, you know. It's from an agnostic point of view, writing a letter, and talk about how shocking the state of the world was and all the rest of it, and whether he believes or not. It was withdrawn from Skylarking due to the fears of the American right, which turned out to be quite right, really, because they freaked when he released it. And he got death threats.
It's probably still banned, like.
Threatened to burn his house down and everything, you know. He stuck his 2 fingers up, said "screw you." But yeah, it's a great song. It's got the young girl at the beginning and at the end, which I think really sets off the song really well. On the video, it's a boy for some bizarre reason, but it's definitely a girl. So it's got the young lass singing, and then, as I say, she comes back in at the end, and it just works really, really well. In terms of that contrast, I think Todd Rundgren suggested using the lass singing rather than him, and so it's a real sort of nice counterbalance because of the fact that you've got a young person, therefore that perception of innocence is thrown in there as well, and it makes his rant even more stark. And then hers at the end, I don't believe in you, which is just fantastic. It's angry, it's aggressive, it sums up his thoughts. It's almost like the atheist's national anthem. It's a beautiful song, really well crafted, whether you believe or not, brilliant. Just a top tune. Magnificent. So I've got Dear God in at number 4. To much controversy.
You prefer the album with that on it?
Yes, I do. It should have been on. I know it's been on subsequently. It's been put back on again, you know. But yeah, it should have been on, definitely. Right, Ian. Let's go for it then. We're down to the big 3. What have you got at number 3?
Right. Number 3, probably very similar reasons to number 4. Like kind of McCartney-esque type songwriting. This one's like a perfect pop song. It's Mary Simpleton.
Oh yes,
and
so I haven't got that one, so I was so tempted because I was like, I must put it in.
Oh, it's just brilliant. It's probably their most, or certainly one of their most commercial songs. Probably, and I know they were trying to catch the American market. Didn't work.
Yeah.
But it's so upbeat, uplifting, just brilliant pop.
Just very Beatles.
Yeah, self-deprecating about his intelligence, but the fact he's in love. Very bright and catchy and uplifting. And I just love it, when that comes on. That's about all I've got to say about it.
Oh, it's a top tune, and it's one of a number of songs that doesn't make it for me. So just to let you know, some of the ones that don't make it for me is that one and the Loving. Chocolates and Children. It was on, and then I've removed it.
I was on the verge because I think I've got like 4 album climax enders.
Yeah.
But I had to get rid of that one.
Oh,
I didn't want to.
It was that one I've removed, and others like pop songs like Statue of Liberty, Peter Pumpkinhead.
I removed that. I really wanted that in.
The Loving, the Disappointed's not in there. The Meeting Place isn't in there. Melt the Guns, which I love. There's so many on there. I thought, I could have.
I thought you'd have Melt the Guns in.
No, Melt the Guns was so close. Brilliant. It's just brilliant. Especially sums up America, doesn't it? But anyway, my number 3 is Ball and Chain.
Oh yeah.
It's perfectly crafted song. Colin Moulton at his best for me. Terry Chambers again. The drums is magnificent. It's got that Byrds 12-string type tone going on with the guitar. It's about demolishing towns and cities. Because first of all, you think, is it like a reference to the wife? But it is literally about balls and chains knocking down towns and cities. And it's almost like a wistful look back to what was, and let's not destroy everything,
The Village Green Preservation
like
Society.
Village Green, very much like the Village Green Preservation Society. It's a beautifully crafted song. It's definitely got that sort of Beatlesy vibe to it as well. It's just beautifully well, as I say, and that sort of Byrds thing is so well constructed as a tune. He's a super songsmith, Colin Moulton. He's really, really good. But the band are on top form at this point. They're on absolute top form. Right then, big 2. This was really hard for me. What have you got in at number 2?
Well, just on that subject of Colin Moulton, I got my top 10, and I feel really bad about this. I've not got one Colin Moulton song in, I love him in the song, right? It's just the way it turned out, and I'm like, oh no. So I was hoping you had some in.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. Oh, I mean, The Meeting Place as well was another one that.
Yeah, I know I was going to put that in.
Because that was one of the songs that really got me into them massively.
I could have taken one out and then put a Colin Moulton one. I thought, well, what's the point? I've come up with these 10.
Yeah.
And I'll just stick with them,
Stick with it.
It's not because I don't rate him as a songwriter. Because I think he's brilliant. Number 2 is like what you had at number 8 or something like that. Love on a Farm Boy's Wages.
Yeah.
We've talked about that before. It just it paints an acoustic picture. It puts you on the farm, even the bass line. I think Annie Partridge asked Colin Moulton to make it moo like a cow,
Yeah.
At the chorus. And when he comes in with these lyrics, he wanted it to sound like a kind of French horn, at the very beginning. Was there anything else? Probably covered everything on that with what you've already said.
Yeah. Well, the same is going to happen to my number 2, because my number 2, the world is all biscuit shaped. And that's Senses Working Overtime, which I just think is absolutely stupendous as a song. It's perfect. I love the intro. I love the powerful stomp. It's the type of song I could imagine the Who having covered. I would love to have seen the Who cover Senses Working Overtime, because I just think it would be so great with Daltrey belting out there, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could really imagine him singing that, you know. It's got that real Who sort of feel to it. I know it's got the 12-string guitar on it, but I think it would have been a great cover for them to have done. It's you said everything before about the song. It's just so well crafted, beautifully done. Just encapsulates that feel again. Going back to the idea of feel, superb. The intro is breathtaking. It's so simple, yet works beautifully.
With like the sort of drum. It's probably drum with fingers or something like that at the beginning.
Yeah. Right then, with a little guitar.
I think it was gonna be my number 2, but I kind of just I was swapping them about.
Yeah, it's dead.
Whether it's number 1 and number 2 or number 6, it kind of
chuck them in the air.
Yeah.
Right. So the big reveal. And what have you got for number 1?
Big reveal. I've got The Last Balloon.
Oh, right. Okay.
Of Apple Venus.
Yes.
It's the. I know we're not talking too much about the albums, but when this is like the climax to what I class like a suite of 3 songs, right, of Andy Porter's right at the end, and it just gets better and better and better. So by that time, you're almost welling up with the lyrics and that, and the it's kind of all about you've got one last chance to escape from the horrors of the world, or climb aboard the balloon and we're going off. But you've got to leave your guns behind, leave your bombs, knives, your makeup, your furs, your toys. We don't want any violence or vanity or anything like that. And the chorus, it's drop it. It's very simple and quite bleak. It's drop it all, referring to the bombs and knives. But then after the children are invited to climb aboard and then drop their toys, and then they'll float away. But the bit that gets me all the time is he uses that drop it all, but he's referring to all the adults, drop us all, get rid of us.
Yeah.
You don't want from what, we're part of the world that you're trying to escape from, and you can't risk that sort of muddying your thinking. So I just think it's genius songwriting.
Yeah, it's a top tune.
And when you think of like the progression from kind of Radios in Motion right through to that.
Yeah, Radios a great song.
But
that was another one on my list.
Yeah, I know. Again, an opener, but that would have been the ideal like last album for them to, if they'd released that one last. And then it right at the end, it's got Guy Barker doing his jazz bit into the end, and then it fades out, and it just works perfectly. I've seen him live with Georgie Fame once. Like, he's a brilliant trumpet player. Like, I think that's
that you don't.
I think that's yeah.
Good. That's a
but I just think
choice.
It's a superb bit of writing, and I didn't kind of get it at first. It just all of a sudden, like that album, I started listening more and more, and then it kind of just grew into this climatic like last 3 songs, and it's just, I think he's peaked with his songwriting when it gets there.
It's a top song, definitely. My number 1 is Wrapped Up in Grey. I just think it's a masterpiece. I really do. On the Nonsuch album from '92. There's a song that could have been on Revolver. It could easily have been on Revolver. It's majestic. It floats around. He describes the bleakness of nice life and then compares it with sheer joy. You know, it's got Beach Boy backing vocals. So it's also got Revolver, but it's also the other album, 66, has got that sort of Pet Sounds vibe going on with the backing vocals, which I just find remarkable. You know, about people living a drab life, and it could be grey, but don't let it bring you down, and let love come forward. And then it's the joyous colours of the world. And then the line, "Awaken you dreamers," is just such a great line. It's one of my favourite lines ever in any song that I go, you know, "Awaken you dreamers." And it's like all of a sudden, let's brush away all this darkness and this drab, crappy grey colour from the world, and let's bring it to colour. And you know, it's perfect. It's an absolute perfect song. You know, I can't get sick of hearing it. It is every time I listen to it, there's something else new about it. You know, I see whether it's the Beach Boys vocals going on in the background or the Beatles sort of harmonies. As I say, easily could have been on Revolver as a song. It's that good a song. It's that good, and he's that good a songwriter. The guy's a genius. He really is. So that's my number one.
I was shocked by your answer, but not because it's not a great song. It's just a song that I don't know that well.
Yeah.
But since you've been describing it, it's kind of, oh yeah, I know that one. It's just I haven't listened to that album that much, but I'll stick it on after this, like, you know, because it is ringing bells. So I'm thinking, oh, I must listen to that a lot more.
Yeah,
that's really interesting.
So there we go, folks. There's our top 10. It'll be interesting to see what your top 10 is and whether they correspond or not. As I say, we've missed so many songs out of it. It's hard to believe we haven't got like statues living. You know, this is pop or anything else on it, but there we have it. That we've gone with what we've gone with. Please like and subscribe and leave your comments below. That would be fabulous. And if anybody would like to join on the show, feel free to give us a buzz. Okay, take care, folks. Goodbye.
Yes.